Hello everyone, welcome to the Coven. My name is Angel, and today we're going to be talking about my teenage paranormal ghost stories. So these kind of happened throughout my teenage years. So they probably start around the age of 13, and I would say they go into when I was 18, maybe a little bit later than that, but I'm still calling these teenage ghost stories because they happened in my teenage years, so it counts. The weather is so weird today, it's crazy. It's just like insanely windy out there for no reason. Like, I went out there earlier and it was like, oh no, the trees are gonna fall. It was honestly so scary, like, to see palm trees like swaying like this. It's not normal. Well, I don't want to say it's not normal, but it's not normal where I live in California to get wind like that. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I actually looked it up because I was like, is there gonna be a storm right now? And apparently there is no storm. It's just gonna be really windy for a few days, which is strange, but I'm here for it. We get this like spooky, gloomy weather, which is nice for these stories, I guess. But yeah, let's get started. And I would say this first story happened when I was around 12 or 13, because this happened around a year after I first moved into my current house, which I've been living in for a very long time. So, basically, to set the, for lack of better words, stage for this video, I was sitting on the couch, my laptop was on my lap, I was watching YouTube videos of paranormal clips. It was like the allegedly true, like, paranormal clips that people upload like on YouTube and TikTok. This was like a compilation video, if you will. And I was watching this. And one of the clips in this video was of a place where there were two people talking, and in the background, there's this door that just keeps slamming over and over and over again. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I'm glad nothing like that happens in my house. Definitely not foreshadowing at all. So I finished watching this video and I shut my laptop and I'm just like sitting on the couch, just chilling. My dad is on the couch across from me and he's also on his laptop. We're just like hanging out in the living room and I'm just relaxing there. And then I heard the front door to my house, the handle for that door, turn aggressively down. Like, you turn the handle down to open the door, basically. I just hear it turn like aggressively like this. And I'm like, what is happening? Why is that happening? That should not be happening. So I look at my dad and I'm looking at him like, what the fuck? What just happened? Someone just tried to open our door. What do we do? And my dad runs over to the door, opens the door, and he's very ready to just like have a confrontation with this person for trying to open our door. And he tears the door open and nobody is there. Now, normally we would like sum this up to like a ding dong ditch type thing, like obviously a meaner version of that because they actually tried to open the door, but usually that would be what this is summed up to, like some young kid trying to have fun and mess with people. But the thing about that is we have a security camera at our door, and this camera picks up any motion from anywhere on the patio where our front door is located. So I go on my phone and I check the security camera footage for the front door. I look at it and no motion was picked up. There was no record of anyone ever coming up on the front porch. So at this point, my dad and I just kind of look at each other like, what the hell just happened? We're like, there's no... Well, there is some logical explanation. I guess you could say that, like, the camera could have glitched at that moment, but we're looking at each other like there's no explanation for why that would have happened. What is happening? And eventually we just move on and just go about our life and just kind of go do our own thing. And but like in the back of our mind we're going, okay, what was that? And I even told my mom later about that story, and she was like, okay, that's weird. It was honestly so strange. And then about a few months later, unfortunately, my grandma passed away. She had been suffering from dementia up until she passed away, and it was honestly a shock when she passed away, because obviously like even if you know someone isn't doing too good, it's always going to be a shock, because it feels like people are going to be with us forever until it doesn't. So it was honestly really like kind of it was really like kind of a wake up call, because it was like these things happen. This is part of life that we have to be ready for. And that's honestly such a scary thought. Like, it was definitely very emotional back then. So that night, after we found out that my grandma had passed away, I was in my room, kind of standing near the door, because I heard my parents talking in the hallway. They were like talking about things, and I was standing in the door listening in on their conversation because I wanted to hear if they were talking about grandma. And then about 5 minutes after I started listening in, I don't remember exactly what they were talking about because of the next thing that happened, but I was listening for about 5 minutes, and then suddenly I hear my dad freak out, like, oh, what was that? Like that type of thing. And I just heard like my parents freak out for a few minutes, and I'm like, okay, what's happening here? And then I overhear my dad say, that's weird. Why would the lights just all start flickering like that? And I'm like, that doesn't sound good. Later on, my dad did tell me that story, but he said that at the time he didn't want to freak me out because I just heard the news about my grandma passing away, and he didn't want to stress me out more with that. So he never told me this, like officially told me this, until probably like 2 years later. I unfortunately was listening in on the conversation, so I heard everything and I knew everything that happened, but never told them. So yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, it's definitely interesting that that would happen on the night that my grandma passed away. It could just be like normal haunted house stuff, which is weird to say, normal haunted house stuff, but it is a thing to consider when stuff has already been occurring here. It's like, maybe it's just whatever's here, or maybe it's definitely not electrical interference though, because that only happened that one time. And then a couple months passed since then, and usually every Christmas, my dad picks a new Christmas profile picture to update on Facebook, like his Christmas tradition type thing. So he took his Christmas picture that he was going to use for that year, and he uploaded it to Facebook and put it on his profile. And then within a minute, he got the notification that my grandma's Facebook account had liked the post. Years before this happened, he set it up for her and he tried to teach her how to use Facebook because he wanted her to be able to communicate with like the rest of the family and stuff, and like be updated on things that happen. So he tried to get her to the point where she could use Facebook. And she never really got to the point where she was comfortable using it. She kind of just posted a couple times and then never posted again. But she was the only one that had access to that account because she was there when my dad was setting it up, and she made her own password. So my dad didn't know the login for it, my grandpa didn't know the login for it, and none of our family knew the login for it. But somehow that year, she liked his profile picture after she had died. And that's honestly like the sweetest thing. Like, if you think about it, on Christmas, for my dad, it was his mom. His mom had liked his profile picture after she had died. Like, that's crazy. And my dad even told my grandpa and was like, "Hey, can you think of a way to describe how this would happen? Like, do you have access to that account? Are you messing with me?" And my grandpa was like, "No, I don't have access to that account. You created it." It's just really crazy that happened. I still look back on it and I'm like, that's so strange. Like, that things like that can happen, because that's like a website. That's a website, and things can happen through a website, apparently. It's just so strange. And my dad even showed me that year. He showed me the message that grandma had liked his profile picture. And, like, I can't say anything to disprove that. It's like, it's there. I don't know how that could be like something else. Maybe there's a logical explanation to it, but it's just strange to me that would happen. Shortly after that, there was this day where I was in high school at the time now, and I was very tired because I had a lot of homework to do. So I was just like exhausted. So I went to go to bed early. I lay on the bed and go to sleep. And I have this dream that I'm in my house and I'm just waking up. I dream about waking up. At this time in my life, I sometimes did that because there was this game that I really loved playing. So I would go and get on the game super early so I could play before school. So in this dream, I went down the hallway to my little part of the house that I use for schooling, because I have this like desk and stuff there that I use for my school stuff, but I also play video games on the computer there. So in the dream, I'm on my computer and I'm just playing my video games early in the morning without my parents knowing, and then I look to the side and I see my uncle that had passed away long before I met him standing in the room, like next to the window near me. And I'd seen pictures of my uncle, but I never met him in person, because he died when he was only 18 years old and I wasn't even born yet at the time. So I never got to meet him. But in that dream, I saw him and he was standing in the room. And when I saw him, even in the dream, I was so shocked that I like kind of almost dropped my laptop in the dream. And I was just like, what the hell? Just like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? Like, that type of thing. Just like, what is happening? And I'm looking at him and he just like smiles and waves, and then the dream ends. I mean, that's technically not a paranormal experience, but it's like, it kind of makes me wonder if it's possible for relatives to visit you in your dreams after they die, because it really did seem like that. Like, it really did seem like I saw him and he was actually there. I've actually heard stories about that. Like, my dad once told me a story that after my uncle had died, my grandma was in the car driving somewhere, and she looked over in the passenger seat and saw my uncle there. My uncle was in the passenger seat and she was driving. That's honestly like a crazy thing. And she told my dad about that too. This was like before I was born as well. She really believes that she actually saw him, and my dad believes that she did too. And my dad my dad also had an experience about seeing my uncle, which is crazy because he says that he had a dream where he saw my uncle in it, and he knew that my uncle had passed away. He straight up asked my uncle, "What's it like being dead?" And my uncle said, "It's not that fun." And then the dream ended. That's honestly so crazy. Like, I have chills talking about it even now. Every time he tells me that story, I'm freaked out. Like, not even in a bad way, just like, that's so sweet that he got to talk to him, but also like, it's not that fun. That's not reassuring. That's not reassuring at all. It's really interesting though, because my family has so many paranormal experiences over the years. It's like so crazy to hear about. I'd love to someday like get them on here to talk about it. Obviously, like, I don't know if they would want to, like, I'll have to ask them, but it's crazy just thinking about these experiences again. But anyway, back to the stories. So, this probably happened a year or so after the other things that happened. My dad was about to mow the lawn, and to mow the lawn, he has to get the lawnmower from the shed. So he went to get the key to open the gate to the shed. He always kept the key in this one cabinet. So he went to the cabinet, opened it, expected for the key to be right there, but it wasn't. The key was not there at all. So he was, of course, like, kind of mad because he thought that I or my mom misplaced the key. So he came to us and was like, "Where did you put the key to the gate? It's not where it usually is." And I was like, "I haven't opened the gate in like months. I haven't done anything with the gate." And my mom was like, "Yeah, didn't you just lock it last week?" And my dad realized that he had just locked it last week. So at this point, he was really like confused about what was happening, and he really started looking through everything, like tearing apart the garage looking for this key, just like basically going crazy because he couldn't find it. And he eventually gets so upset that he can't find it that he comes over to me and he's like, "Come here, I'll show you. It's not here. I don't know where it is." So he takes me over to the cabinet where it usually is. And I open the cabinet and I look, and the key is exactly where it always is. And my dad just looks at me and he looks so confused because the way I opened the cabinet, it's not even like possible that I could have placed it there when I came out with him. Like, the key was there, and there's no way either of us could have put it there. And we just kind of look at each other, and my dad just looks like he's going crazy because he looked for that key for probably 2 hours, and it ended up being exactly in the first place that he looked, but he knew it hadn't been there before. So the conclusion we came to, just to make sense of it at all, was, oh, it must have been a ghost, because there's nothing that could have really fully explained what happened other than, oh, I guess it was a ghost. So we just went with it at that point. He was like 3 times as confused as I was, though, because he just looked for it everywhere, and it just turned up to be right there. He's even talked about that story to me, like, since that happened, and he still doesn't understand how it was possible. Then there was another time where I was in my room, and I'd been watching YouTube videos, but I came out of my room and went to go outside because we have a fridge outside, so I was gonna get a soda from outside. I start to walk past the living room where my dad is sitting, and then my dad goes, "Wait, don't go out there. Something just tried to open the door." And I'm like, "What do you mean something just tried to open the door?" I'm like, "What the hell?" Because, like, that's the least thing you want to hear. Something just tried to open the door. Like, not even like, oh, the door kind of did a thing. Like, something just tried to open the door. He looks super freaked out too. My dog is barking at the door. Like, this was the back door. This wasn't even the door that tried to open the first time. This is a completely different door. And it had happened again. So it was not just like a one-time thing. This actually happened again. So I went back there and I looked at the door and didn't see anything wrong with it. Just like it was totally fine after that. Just that one time it did it that one time again. It was so weird. And I remember, like, after I walked back to where my dad was, he was like, I can't even think of a way to explain that. And I agree, because, like, how do you explain that? Like, the door tried to open a second time, but it's a different door. Like, how does that even make sense? Then this happened probably a week after that. Like, at this point, things were happening pretty frequently. But basically, my dad got back from golf one day, and he had with him this winter coat and, like, a thermos for holding coffee. And he always takes that with him when he goes golfing. He goes to bed that night, wakes up the next morning, the thermos is gone from the sink, and the jacket is nowhere to be seen. So he comes to me and he asks me if I did anything with either of those things. And I'm like, nope, I did not do anything with either of those. And at this point, I was the only one in the house other than him. And these things somehow went missing. So he tears apart the house looking for these items again, and he doesn't find them anywhere. And at this point, I'm even trying to help him look for it, because I'm like, I have no clue where it could have gone. And he looks for probably like an hour, and then he has to go do something. And then he looked for an hour, like 3 different days, because like, I'd say there was time in between these days, but he's like really looking for this and he can't find it anywhere. It's two things, and he can't find it anywhere. It was honestly so strange. And literally 2 years went by, 2 years without it being found. And then one day I was opening this display case he has to clean this little thing he has in there that's like a little sculpture, because we were trying to clean up a little bit for spring cleaning. And I look in there, and next to the sculpture is the thermos that had been missing for 2 years. And I look at this and I'm just thinking, this has been gone for 2 years. What is in this? So I take the thermos and I open it and look inside, and it's filled with this much mold. Like, I don't even know if it's considered mold at that point, but just like this much mold, just solid mold, because it still had coffee in it from when it went missing. We have no idea how this happened. There is no like explanation to this, because nobody would have moved it and nobody did move it. So it's like, what happened? It wasn't me. My dad says it wasn't him, and why would he hide his own coffee cup? It's like so strange. So we still don't know like the story of it, and the jacket is still never been found. We found the coffee cup 2 years later, but we still have no idea where the jacket is. It's honestly like, at this point it seems paranormal, but we have no idea. That is my teenage paranormal experiences. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I really enjoy doing these, and if you like and subscribe to the channel, I will continue to release more, because I still, believe it or not, have more experiences that I can tell you guys, because I have lived in this house, which is apparently haunted, for over 10 years now. So I have a lot of stories that I can share. And if you guys have paranormal stories, feel free to share those too. I would love to hear about it. Go ahead and share them in the comments below, and I will read them, and I'll like the comment if I have read it, because I honestly just really want to know if this also happens to you guys, because this is so strange. Like, obviously these aren't as strange because it does seem like a haunted house situation. But like, I go to paranormal places all the time, and sometimes I don't discover as much stuff as I discover here, and like, not as much physical evidence of stuff happening as it happens here. It's honestly crazy. But yes, I will see you guys next time, and remember, never investigate alone, as it may be dangerous.